mic on.
Hey there, THL. Welcome to HearthCenter. We are live and we are here with week 2 of the new season, and I'm happy to be joined by Icon and Lotus Knight as always with our special guest, Myanodon, tonight. Thanks for being here, guys. Lotus, start with you. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Dante?
I'm great. Icon, how about you?
Doing good, bro. How about you?
Still chilling. And Myanodon, thank you for being with us. It's always an honor to share the stream with you.
It's a pleasure, man. I always love doing this. I've been wanting to be on HearthCenter for a long time, but I always have like the conflict of schedule on Wednesdays. But made it happen, so I'm happy about that.
We did make it happen, and we made it happen for a great reason, of course. It's because you are the THL World Cup winner, the first one ever. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
so that was a fun experience. It was obviously the first chance we really got to do any sort of shielded conquest, and I thought it turned out great. It seemed like the tournament went well. There weren't a lot of disputes or anything, but just in general, how was your experience as far as the format's concerned? Like, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it?
So I really don't like best of three, to be honest. I mean, I had a good time in the tournament also because it was super early, since the format was released, so we didn't have too much knowledge. So there's a lot of kind of people trying different things, and I did like that we were able to change after the nerfs because the meta just shifted completely. Um, but yeah, I mean, best of three is kind of when you bring. I mean, best of three is okay if you're bringing, 3 decks and you're banning one. But when you're bringing 4 decks, and you're doing best of three. It just removes a lot of the strategies that you kind of can develop in other conquest formats. Even with the shield, like it still kind of feels a little awkward. It kind of ends up being just bring best decks most of the time, which is not as interesting as kind of trying to strategize what people are going to bring and trying to maybe counter something. So I had a really good time playing it. I think I really like the meta right now, but I do have my qualms with best of three, and hopefully, I mean, it sounds like they're changing a lot of it, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the best of three. I think best of five is a more balanced format as far as the skill is concerned. I think the three can be swingy and can sometimes lead to upsets that would not otherwise happen. But yeah, I think as a first time jumping into it, I think it was a good experience overall. Lotus and Icon, I know you guys both played in it. I also played in it for three matches, and so somewhat brief. But Lotus, I'll ask you. You're a big meta guy. Obviously, a lot of stat based stuff. What did you think about the whole format of the not only of Shielded Conquest, but the THL World Cup format?
So I think the THL World Cup was a lot of fun for me. I got to play with players who I normally don't play and just met some fun new people. I feel like so much prep was done for the first round, and that was a lot of fun. And just to see all the different practices that people were doing and really how people adapted to a brand new, because by the time season begins for THL, we mostly have a figured out meta. And this was a completely different experience, at least for me.
Yeah, it was a lot of really interesting choices. Like you said, I mean, it wasn't figured out yet. We were doing this in the first couple weeks of the meta, and then of course the knockout round happened right after the nerfs. So it was a little bit of a time for us to feel out what might be the the meta to come. Icon, how about you? What was your experience like? I think you went 2-1 if I recall correctly in the opening round. Is that right?
Yeah. So as you reminded me, I went 2-1 and didn't make it out of groups. Despite winning 2 of the matches that I was supposedly had no business winning. I think the Shielded Conquest format feels a lot different than previous formats because there are decks where if it just doesn't fit into the way that your opponents line up against you, you just don't play them. And playing a set where you have 4 decks, but you only really play. Okay, Discord's just gonna disconnect.
Let's just say we lost you for a
I love
sec
it,
there.
dude. Yeah, that just bye Discord. But
we didn't want to hear the rest of that. So
yeah, no, I got you, dude. No, playing bringing 4 decks and playing 2 sometimes feels really strange in the context of Hearthstone. But I don't think it's like a terrible format by any means. It's nothing like too amazing. But I mean, Blizzard apparently wasn't super sold on it because they're doing away with it already for the Hearthstone, the qualifiers and stuff. So
Yeah, big news that just happened, as you alluded to, kind of reigniting of the qualifiers there in Conquest is going to be the format once more, which I personally enjoy, despite the fact that I'm not apparently great at it. But hey,
yeah, I definitely like that a lot better. I agree with you there. As far as like for qualifiers, best of 3 makes sense, but when you're bringing, the 3 decks, not 4, because it's quicker. It makes sense for qualifiers like that. But yeah, it seems like they just wanted Shielded Conquest for GM. I don't really know.
yeah, I would like for them to expand it, but hey, we'll take what we can get, I guess. It's not specialist, and that's what's important to me right now. While we were talking here, I did pop the group stage results up on the screen. I know it's something we all talked about before and everybody saw, but I wanted to at least point out one thing here. You'll see the region record at the bottom. That is complete. And includes the bracketed portion of the World Cup. So, as you can see there, Great Lakes ended up winning the overall at 22-18. So 22 wins. Northeast 2 games back at 20 wins. Pacific had 19, and Atlantic fell short at 17. But hey, our winner was from the Atlantic, so it wasn't all bad, right?
Yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't win more. I did lose one. I think I lost only one match the entire tournament.
You sure
And
did.
that was during the play-in stage against Ted. So, congrats to Ted there. And I mean, what was the rest of the squad doing? Come on, guys.
Well, I will say it's funny you bring that up because one of the things I pointed out when we were talking just before you joined the video call was that out of the 17 wins, you personally were responsible for 7 of them. So that was pretty hard carry from you in terms of the group. So you definitely tried your hardest, and you took it as far as you could physically go, which would have been 7 out of 8 wins. So hey, nothing to be ashamed of there at all. But that does mean that Great Lakes is the winning region, which means all of the Great Lakes players do get an additional 2 packs if or 2 packs at all if they did not happen to be in the top 4, which means that Snake, Shadow Ranger, Darkside, 2-Star Mako, Brushy Tuna, the Big Ted, Turd Herder, Triss, Avi, and the Chronic all get 2 packs. The Chronic also got 7 packs for finishing 4th. Cole's got 7 for finishing 3rd. Fuel, the runner-up, gets 22 packs, and Myandadon, of course, yourself, you get 30 packs. So big round of applause to everybody there.
Yay.
I was saying figurative round of applause, but you actually did the round of applause, which I appreciate.
I do want to say I was mostly kidding, guys. The Atlantic region, like, you guys were really awesome, supportive. We had our whole Discord channel. We were talking. Booze was providing all the stats for us, and I appreciate all the work they put into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I loved how it kind of galvanized the entirety of the groups there, and everyone was behind the players, even if they were eliminated. It gave everybody something to root for and something to play for. Not that I felt like people wouldn't want to continue to play even if they were eliminated, but yeah, it gave some incentive to keep pushing and play your matches even if you were eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
So now those who, well, first of all, let's take a look at the bracket up here. So Myandadon, the thing that I wanted to point out is not only did you win this, you came from without a bye. So you played Typhoon in round 1 of the bracket, and you were only one of 8 players that had to do that. You'll notice our cohort here, Lotus Knight, also did the exact same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he ran into the buzzsaw that was Fuel in round 2. And you managed to beat Anfall, and then Blue Sombrero, and then Coles to get to the finals and beat Fuel. Like, that's not an easy path that you took.
Yeah, no, I definitely think I played a lot of really good players throughout the tournament. Was pretty happy with all the turnout and some of the wacky stuff. I know when I was prepping for Blue, like he brought all Highlander decks, but in my testing and my prep, I was like, when I initially looked at the decks, like this Paladin's terrible, and then I played against it and I realized how frustrating it is. Like this Highlander Paladin, which no one's playing, like it actually was really annoying to kind of prep for, and I managed to get a little bit lucky, play well, and get those wins. But definitely some really interesting choices that I enjoyed.
I do like the fact that you can't switch your decks obviously between rounds as you flow through. Unlike THL where you switch your decks every week,
Mm-hmm.
in here you had to kind of make not only the matchup that you thought would be best for your first opponent, but for the whole field. So clearly you picked right as you won every match in the knockout round, and in fact you swept 3 of the 5 matches. So pretty good win right there, 10-2 if my math is not failing me. So yeah, I would take 10-2 any day of the week.
Yeah, definitely can't complain. I know there were a couple moments that were pretty spicy. I know into Typhoon, which is the very first round. It was down to that last game, and he played around pressure plate wrong. He could have probably won it, and who knows if he would have been sitting here instead. But he did not play around pressure plate, and I played to my outs. It was one of those situations where if I had freezing, I win it every time, but I didn't, and I played it as if I had freezing, and he didn't. He was trying to play around freezing as best he could, but it wasn't freezing, and he didn't play around pressure plate, and it killed his like minion, whichever. I think it was maybe King Crush or something that
Oof.
would have taken me out, but did not because of that. So definitely some really cool games. I know the stuff that was on stream. There were some really cool highlights as well. I think Icon was casting the finals, and he can probably attest to that. But I really enjoyed it. I don't think anyone was like, even though the 2-0s all felt really close.
I'm glad you brought up the stream. That's a perfect segue for the next thing we're going to be doing here, because if anybody recalls, there were prizes to be given out for those who signed up for stream, played on stream, and ultimately won on stream. So if just for a quick refresher before we do this thing, everybody earned a raffle ticket if you signed up to play on stream. You earned a second raffle ticket if you were selected, and you earned a third if you won. So with that in mind, we have 119 raffle tickets that were earned by everybody. So a big thank you to everybody who signed up for streams and played on streams and contributed to the great content that this tournament provided. And so we are going to raffle off 3 more $10 packs. So it's 7 packs for each of these winners. And now it is possible, it is conceivable that multiple people could win a pack or a group, or the same person could conceivably win all 3. That's just the luck of the draw here. So I'm going to bring this up. I've got I've posted the list of raffle numbers for Icon and Lotus Knight and Myanodon to take a look at, so they can verify here who is going to win. I'm actually not even going to look at that. I'm just going to roll the 119 number 1 through 119 on a random number generator. So let's do that real quick. Let's get some hype.
You can tell how hyped I am by my excited voice.
Hype. Yeah, as you fell into the robot pit of despair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, 1 through 119. Rolling the
Here we
first
go.
one.
I thought you rolled a 1 when I looked at that.
I rolled a 10 though. Who's number 10?
10. Obviously.
Fast 44. Oh yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
So
Yeah.
so Avi wins pack number 1, or raffle ticket number 1. So let's I'm gonna write that down. I should definitely be writing this down.
Yep.
With the number 10, lucky number
Do you want
10.
do you want me to like put a little check mark in the? Oh no, it's view only. Never mind.
That's okay. Next number 98.
9,
Jerry, damn it.
8.
Oh,
Shadow
that's
Ranger.
Shadow Ranger.
Shadow Ranger.
You can't
Yeah.
do this for everyone, man.
There's only 3.
Yeah,
I
there's
can't.
only one
Not
more.
hard.
Okay. Shadow Ranger is the
Shadow Ranger gets the second raffle, and the final raffle number is 108.
108 is Turd Herder.
Turd
Oh,
Herder.
nice.
All right. So,
All right.
Avi, Shadow Ranger, Turd Herder. Turd Herder was already winning packs. Actually, Avi was already winning packs too. Listen, all 3 of those were from the Atlantic. Not Atlantic,
From the
Great Lakes. They had all already won packs. So that makes
seems
that
rigged.
makes my job easy. That makes my
Rigged.
job. Yeah.
You need all you can get when you win a total of 10 matches between your not Myanodon players. So.
No. That was great. It was Great Lakes. Sorry, no, this was the group that actually did really well.
This was the ones that already won packs. Yeah.
Yeah, they already. So this makes it easy because that's like 3 fewer people I have to track down and make sure I'm friends with. Because I was when I did this and saw who was winning the packs, I made sure they were all on my friends list as quickly as possible. Because if you've never given away packs through Battle.net, you have to be friends with them for a week before it'll let you.
Reminder: you gotta wait 7 days, guys. So make sure that you get on Dante's friend list to get that set up.
I'm 99% sure the only person who wasn't on my friends list when I looked was Snake. And I sent him a friend request a while back. I don't know if he actually accepted it. That would be sad times.
He should have. He only plays Hearthstone and goes to recess. So
well, Snake
goes to recess.
No, I'm serious. He'll get in my stream and he'll be like, "I'm watching you at recess," and I'll be like, "Nice, dude."
Wow.
So Snake, if you have not accepted my friend request, which I'm looking through my friends list real quick, it doesn't look like you have. Hit me up and I will be glad to give you your packs. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to be my friend?
Okay, dude. Yeah, come on.
It's really upsetting, actually.
I reach out to these people and try to be friends, and they just they just mush me like that. That's hurtful. So.
Come on, Snake.
So I will get at everybody after the stream here, and let's. Oh, I didn't even write Turd Herder's name down. Though I should probably have been able to remember that fairly easy. So let's talk about Week 1. There were 3 series that happened in Week 1. It was obviously Legacy, Hero, and Pro all kicking off for the regular season start, and there were some, surprising matches, and there were some that were less than surprising. So let's talk about what we saw here. So let me pull this up on the screen as well, because stream hopping can be hard. We'll start with Legacy. We picked out a few matches that kind of shocked us a little bit, or not shocked us, but if you look at the PR, there was a.
You can say that it shocked you.
I guess in some cases it shocked people. It shocked. One of them shocked us so much that it wasn't even listed originally by Lotus Knight, who is our research expert here. We'll get to that one. It's hanging out right in the middle of the graphic here, but. To top of the list, Mr. Shad's over Dano, which was pretty substantial PR difference, about 228. I say about. I just did the math quickly. JR Juggerloff
charging battery.
Oh, my mic just told me it's charging. That's cool. So you'll hear that. So JR Juggerloff fell to Benjo 3-2. Corky Turtle took out Dexter Corn in his first, I believe I'm going to guess, first match in THL 3-2. Icon, how's it feel to take out Wicked Good 3-1, buddy?
Like it used to be. So
it feels wicked good.
Yeah,
huh?
I was kind of hoping he would go with that, and thank you.
Really upsetting that you didn't. I had to. He laid it up for you and everything.
I did.
Dude, Wicked. Yeah,
I'm glad you tipped it in.
It feels wicked good to beat Wicked Good. It's funny because
Thanks.
his name. What appears as on the screen.
Thanks for over-explaining the joke.
Yeah.
And the last 2 aren't PR differences. They were 550 matches, but they were sweeps, which I don't think anybody projected, anything but a close match out of Lotus Knight versus Coles. But Lotus, you swept Coles, which hurts me, as he's my teammate.
Yeah, I feel like this match is a lot about the deck has 2 sides, you need to draw from the right side of the deck. Sometimes you draw from the wrong side of your deck, and the match end up going so poorly. Coles is a great player, great guy, so it was mostly due to luck and some planning. We both had different strategies, and mine ended up panning out, but it was still a good match, I would say.
Right. Yeah, you 0-3'd him on, or 3-0'd him on luck at Legacy Series. That makes sense. Yeah. That's
You know what I
associated
feel?
with
You know
a
what
lot
I
of
feel
luck.
this was? I mean, you see both Coles and Fuel lost this. I think just the World Cup, not getting that win in the end was
Burnout.
devastating. Just burnt out. No, but actually, like, it was a lot of playing. I actually had to play my last match the week of, like, Fuel and I had to play as the week was starting, so I had to like schedule 4 matches because I'm in three of the series this year or this season. So playing 4 matches in a week is a lot, and
Definitely.
trying to schedule all that, it's hard to kind of. It doesn't matter how good of a Hearthstone player you are. I think it can come back and sort of get you. So I don't know if Cole's maybe had to play his third place match also during the week. So I could see that coming in and is a factor a little bit.
Right.
I think he did play it a day before you, or a day or two at most before you played.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it was in the same week, and we will try to combat that when we do off-season tournaments in the future. I definitely would like to start them closer to the end of the previous season, but this one, it just kind of was an idea that spawned late, and so I just kind of got it going as fast as I possibly could. But yeah, it was definitely more planning in the future would be nice to avoid some of the pitfalls of the longer tournaments happening like that. So yeah, and as you mentioned, Arhat did beat Fuel 3-0. By the way, Arhat might be the first THL player in history to get a win from Italy, because he did that on mobile on his honeymoon. So he has absolutely no chill whatsoever. He was just like, Fuel, I'm gonna smack you up while I'm on my honeymoon. Shout out to Fuel.
Just eating some pasta, beating Fuel, just loving his life. That's the way to do it. That seems like a great honeymoon.
Could
Gets to
also
beat
just be a
Fuel
way.
and get married, and have a great time. Seems good.
Yeah, he's living his best life for sure. So, and before we move on to Hero, anything else we want to talk about from this list, or any other matches that that you guys thought about that you just want to talk about real quick?
I think I do want to highlight the Quirky Turtle win a little bit. Just because I know she kind of just started playing, like, not too long ago. Obviously, she has Super Murloc to kind of help her out. But, like, get it. I think she was struggling when she subbed last year, or maybe she joined a team towards the end of last year. And to get a win in your first week, that's got to feel good. After that kind of.
Absolutely.
She played on and off for SKHS, I believe, in a couple series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
it's always tough to come in and be a sub like that. You necessarily don't know the teammates. You don't know what their prep's gonna be like, and obviously you haven't been playing necessarily before if that's your first sub week. So it might be hard to jump into flow. It's kind of like a pinch hitter in baseball. You come off the bench, you've been sitting there for 3 hours, and then they ask you to go in and get a big hit, and it doesn't always. It sounds simple, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then also Shad's. He's on my. This was my legacy team. That was also, like, I don't think he should be whatever PR he is now.
Mhm.
Oh no, I
like
agree.
he started at 50. Like, he's not playing as much as he used to. He's definitely all in on the WoW Classic, but
Aren't we all?
Yo, I love it, dude.
but I definitely think he's a great player, and, like, for him to have started at 50 PR, last season, it's crazy. So, like, yeah, it looks like a huge gap, but no fault of Dano's. I think Shad's is closer in skill level to that PR than it appears.
Did you guys play Vandergrift Esports?
No.
Okay. Because
no,
I didn't recognize that name, so.
No, we played.
I was gonna say maybe that's why you won.
No, I forget who it was. It was a solid team, though. I think it was like the whatever Hero Power Rangers was. I think it was like Mad at Arms team.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Anoyo team. Yeah,
Anoyo
gotcha.
team. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. I was
Okay.
looking
Cool.
it up while you were talking about it. I couldn't get there before you figured it out.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
before we move on to Hero, real quick, I know Lotus, you wanted to touch on kind of the meta a little bit. just to give a quick rundown of the classes that appeared in Legacy in the first week, Warrior led the way with 46, Shaman with 43 selections, Hunter at 38, then Druid and Priest splitting the 4 slot at 33, and basically not present at all was Mage at 3 and Warlock at 5. So what were your thoughts, Lotus, on Legacy lineups, just kind of the way that the first week went?
Well, I think just looking at these numbers, Legacy tends to have an effect where flexible classes tend to do really well. So Warrior is a flexible class because they have multiple decks that you can play right now. Same thing for Shaman. They're very hard to predict what you're going to be facing. So they become really hard to target. A lot of people probably opted to bring Warrior and Shaman for this exact reason. And you can also see that the Warrior ban rate was enormous. By far the most banned class. There was nothing even close.
Not even close.
And Hunter does have a good number because Highlander Hunter is just a really strong. And the other classes, Druid and Priest, are in a similar situation. But especially Warrior and Shaman, I expect them to just grow and grow and grow, and they'll probably be there every time because of how flexible and strong both classes.
Yeah, Warrior with the addition of Aggro Warrior in this meta is really interesting, because before you brought Warrior and it was assumed to be control or at the very most bomb, which is still like a control shell. So you play it reasonably similarly, but now Aggro Warrior you have to play very, very differently, and it's not a sure thing anymore that when you see Warrior you're going to be in for a grindy match.
Yes. Plus the Warrior cards, even though the deck is a control deck, the deck packs so much tempo and so many cards that just can win aggressively. It makes it really annoying to play around it, because sometimes you might think they'll just go super passive, and they don't. They just have a perfect curve, and you don't get why that's happening.
Absolutely, yeah. They can certainly stomp you out if you're not paying attention, which is a scary proposition. And you see that with, like, there's also Murloc Shaman, Murloc Paladin. These are other decks that are just scary aggressive right now and can easily win, just from the curve of the first few turns. You can just not recover if your hand happens to be a little bit slow.
Combo Priest.
Combo Priest too. Different type. You just get rolled by someone happening to draw the right 3 or 4 cards. But yeah, same concept. All right, so let's move on to Hero here. Talk about that real quick. We have a few matches that we wanted to highlight similarly to Legacy. So we've got, off the top, we've got 8-Bit with a sweep over Mr. Newt. Skittles up with a 3-2 win over Itachi. And then Shadow Ranger 3-1 win over Mata, and 2-Star Mako 3-1 win over Hockey Boys. And we also wanted to highlight Mako not only because of his win here, but his win in all series, a 3-win sweep for him this week. So big shout out to him for the way that he handled that. And Skittles over Itachi is huge. I played Itachi in Legacy in week 1 and lost 3-2. Skittles comes in and takes a win in week 1 over one of the more celebrated players in the series. What do you guys think about any of these matches? I'll start with Icon. Anything here you like to talk about? Any other matches that you wanted to talk about?
Itachi said he got the Living Daylights high rolled out of him, and
that'll happen.
I believe him. 2-Star Mako beating Hockey is kind of cool. Itachi also would probably like me to make the point on stream that the whole winning in 3 series thing is something that he did for 4 weeks in a row last season.
He's a pretty good player.
And but yeah, Mako beating his old pro teammate, kind of cool to see. Hockey Boys still trying to tank that PR as low as he can possibly go until he's like a Scritch material. So
I think he might have been Rusty Boys, to be honest with you.
Yeah, true. He doesn't really play anymore. He plays Overwatch. But yeah, I mean, seems like good matches. Skittles, I won a bunch of his matches in like different sub spots and stuff throughout the multiple series and stuff. So like definitely like making a statement about himself. It's cool that he's like finding all that success.
I also want to give a big shout out to Myanodon for a big sweep he made in Hero Series this past week. Big 3-0. His opponent didn't show up, so that's cool. But hey.
Thanks, man. Felt great.
3-0's a 3-0 for the team, no matter how you cut it, right?
I it's funny. I mean, I wish matches got played, but I didn't really want to play hero this season,
Charging
but I was
battery.
asked last minute to kind of help out a team in need.
Charge
So,
complete.
I started out with not having to do anything, so I got to, not play, which is what I wanted at the beginning.
Efficiency is important.
Efficiency. No, but I'm excited to be on that team and to play some games. I think it was just the fatigue a little bit of last season, but I'm feeling good. So looking forward to the next matches.
Yeah, well, hopefully you do get to play one. Lotus, I do not believe you're playing hero. Is that correct?
I am playing hero.
You are playing hero. Was what I said. I believe you're playing hero.
Yeah, I'm playing hero. I'm not playing pro.
KGB,
my
that's right.
Performance. Yeah, my performance was so bad last time in pro that I decided to just do 2 leagues. 3 is too much for me.
League. Take a shot.
Oh, nice.
It's
yeah.
league format
Sorry.
series.
Right.
Well, you're off to a 1-0 start as well, so congratulations to you for your win over Notorious GHP.
Thank you.
3-2 win there, and that paced your team with a W as well. Two-star Mako's your teammate there. So yeah, big week for you guys. Anybody else you want to talk about? Anything you want to talk about that you enjoyed from Hero Week 1? And then we'll talk about the meta a little bit here.
I think it was just a good week. I feel there were a lot of exciting matches for Hero last week. A lot of big ones. We talked about it in our big matches of the week. And I feel like this week we're going to be a lot more into Legacy because Legacy has so many hot matches this time.
Yeah, don't want to give away the upcoming discussion, but yeah, there are quite a few that are worth talking about. So let's talk about the difference in what we saw in the classes of Hero versus what we saw in Legacy. So, not surprisingly, Warrior 46 at the top again, Shaman 45, so just behind it again. That's not different, but Paladin makes an appearance in the top 3, 34 selections, and then Hunter drops down to 31. So fewer Hunters, but still in the top 4. And then Priest and Druid are dropping off a little bit. Mage still completely unrepresented at 6. But Warlock doubled up to 10, so it was playable in Hero, it seems like a little bit more than it was in Legacy. And, the one thing I think we're going to mention here is that polarizing decks, you're not afraid to bring them as much in Hero as you are in Legacy,
right,
because you can still actually guide your matchups a little better. So, Lotus, why don't you take us through your thoughts on that?
Sure. I would say the main reason why Hero had such high numbers is because polarizing decks work better. And Paladin has some pretty good polarizing decks. So does Priest. Priest not that polarizing. Sorry. So does some of the other higher numbers. So Warlock in this case, they can crush pretty hard the decks that are not ready for them. And because of the nature of Hero being you bring a deck and you stick to it until it loses, you can't really target. So you can't just exploit that part that is polarized.
Definitely, and that's the way LHS has always been, of course, and THL with the hidden deck list, but not revealed classes, does give you a little bit of extra layer of deception there too.
Right.
So let's move on to Pro, Shielded Conquest, of course, and you selected a couple matches here. They just both so happen to be in the games that I have on screen coming up here. So rather than select the games individually, I just took a little screen grab of both games in their entirety.
Mm-hmm.
So Tap Blast versus the other guys. I know the ins and outs of this one as I'm on the other guys, and this is might have been considered to be a little bit of an upset here. I think the most important match you wanted to point out was it Tony Montana over Typhoon? Was that the one that you wanted to talk about here?
I think both Tony Montana versus Typhoon and Dirty Mike versus Nick were pretty big matches. They're both great players. Not saying the others aren't. The others are also great players, but
you don't have to flatter me. It's all good.
But it was just, I feel like these were great matches, and I expected Tap Blast to win, just because the other is a valid Hero team. So when you have a team that is PR bounded versus one that isn't, it feels a little unfair.
I mean, I am the only I'm the only player who's not on their Hero team.
Yeah.
And a couple other the other matchup here, Dr. Boom Shakalaka versus the Unknown. Ron Mexico. My unknown, what happened there, buddy?
I'm gonna say that I was coasting on the high of being the world champ. No, so Ron and I came to a deal before a match. I said, or he told me, he said, okay, if you beat me, then the Falcons better win tonight. So I said the opposite has to be true, and he pulled one over on me because he ended up beating me here, and then the Falcons beat the Eagles. So that was very depressing for me. I thought we had a deal. Did not come to fruition. I couldn't let my birds lose, so I threw the games, and then I still didn't get the win. But actually, he played really well. I think I got in my own head a little bit. Maybe cued incorrectly. I won that first game, and then I went. I think Priest game 2. Even though my Hunter had a better spread against his remaining decks, just because Priest can high roll, I didn't manage to high roll, and then just in the mirror, Hunter, it was just down to draw, and I think maybe I misplayed a little bit. So really well played by him. Can't complain with the result. I think he deserved it. So.
And a close series nonetheless. I mean, only a 10-7 difference. It's that's a single matchup, of course, across the board. And now you've been on Dr. Boom Shakalaka for 2 seasons, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I know you guys came in heralded pretty decently in the Kappa season of Pro, and did not quite live up to the expectations there. What do you feel about for going forward in the season? Do you feel like you guys are going to be able to turn it around? Like, was that an aberration, or is there something else going on here that that's causing struggles for you guys? And if you wanted to say freeloader and leave it at that, and just not say anything else, you're welcome to.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with him. I think last season we did a lot more experimenting as far as our brings, and also in specialist, when you're playing just one match a week with your deck, it comes down to a lot of times just a dice roll. That you bring the counter to what they're bringing? Because even if you have the side deck for it, it usually gives you a couple percentage points, but some matchups just it doesn't matter.
I remember that, my Anadon. Yeah, that was
yeah. So
the paladin or whatever.
So I mean, we brought some spicy stuff, and it wasn't always the best bring. I think this season we're going to try to be a little bit more like less is like a testing grounds for qualifiers, because a lot of us were doing qualifiers and just trying to see what might or might not work. This season, I think we're going to try to be a little bit better with bringing good decks and getting that prep in. Obviously didn't work out that week, but I think we have a lot of potential, and this format hopefully lends itself a little bit better to that. So we'll see. I think we're definitely it's just been 1 week, so I think we can definitely come back from this.
Oh, no doubt about it. 7 points doesn't put you at the lowest in the series right now. That unfortunately goes for the boys, who ran into the buzzsaw that was the defending champs of Bad to the Bone. If we're gonna play Daravis Watch, he's still undefeated. By the way, he won 2-0 over Triss, and has yet to lose at all in THL. So good luck to his next opponent. But the only one to get a win for the boys was Crackshot over Manny Skull, which is a huge win, and that leaves for the boys at 5 points, with Bad to the Bone now leading the entire conference. Well, it's conference, the entire series at 13 points. So. What you see on the screen here, 13, 11, 11, 10 for the Unknown, would be your top 4 teams at the moment. And there was one other match I seem to recall. Icon, can you talk to me about that match?
Yeah. So we played what's the name? The really crazy team, Propane Gang. So we did not have Jet Law this week, and that is the thing that I'm going to use to excuse away our sort of one free loss that we take every sort of season to some weird team. I think Jet Law is one of our best players, and was extremely effective last season in Pro. He was just very consistent on how much he won, and he was completely out of commission and so we basically had like one or two people doing like prep together, and just sort of what we were a bit away from our game that 1 week. I don't know. I'm glad we got points. Better than nothing, I suppose. We'll just
Oh yeah. Not only that, you
make
did
playoffs. I don't really
deny
care.
quite a few points to Propane Gang because they only won 9-7. So
Yeah, it's all good.
that's a very, very close match. It was the closest match of the week, and yeah, very, very early in the series. So not we lost rain to WoW, unfortunately. Too. So yeah, Fuel got the win over there over Dark Side, and I think the other win was Liquid Ox. Yeah, Liquid Ox over Hard Hat.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Liquid Ox, not your best player. Jetlaw is your best player. Good to know. We'll keep that in mind and let Liquid Ox put that on the refrigerator for some bulletin board material.
Liquid Ox has too much of an ego already. He tells me every day that he's the best in our pro team server. I have to keep him under wraps.
He's a good player. He helped me prep for Hero.
He is awesome. Yeah, no, he's actually really good. Yeah.
So meta report for Pro 30 Warrior brings. Not shocking. Again, it's still the best class in most scenarios. Priest is the second most brought in Pro at 26. Druid. Shaman at 23, Druid at 22. So those are your top four. And I think you might notice that the classes that are a bit more one note with an open list are less of a burden to bring because those lists are what they are shown. Once you reveal the classes, you don't get to make any adjustments. So, Lotus, why don't you talk us through here? What surprised you? Did anything surprise you for the Pro brings, or what kind did you expect to see in week 1, and what might change in week 2?
Sure. So I expected Warrior to be high. Same for Shaman because the classes can do everything right now. They're everywhere. I did expect for Pro Priest to be a lot. The reason being that in Pro you can keep a deck back. So if you feel like they're really hard targeting your Priest, you just say, you know what? I'm not going to play Priest this week, and I'll just go with something else. Versus you can't do that with Legacy and Hero. So I feel like they're much more of a spot because of that. Same for the Druid. And those are classes that, although Priest does have a pretty smooth spread, Druid doesn't. And so you can actually use them a lot better in Pro.
Yeah, I would be shocked to see Warrior not continue to be the most brought, barring any sort of nerfs that might arise here. And yeah, I kind of like that all three series offer something different in terms of what is reasonable to bring. It makes all three series worth playing, quite frankly. I wouldn't really want to just play if every time I was just bringing the same 4 classes in all 3 series.
Yeah, I mean, Legacy allows for people to bring very versatile decks that can take a lot of different build paths. Hero allows for very polarizing matchups, and Pro allows you to get high rolled in best of 3. So there's definitely a lot of different options for everybody.
There was no salt there whatsoever.
No.
Yeah, dude.
I will also add that just the number of Warrior bans also has been really high. I have been seeing a bit less Warrior on ladder, though. So that might be an interesting experiment to see how those go this week.
Yeah. I think in general, people on ladder, like, Control Warrior hasn't changed too much from last expansion to this one. So I know personally, like, I don't play a lot of Control Warrior on ladder just because I'm bored by playing this deck over and over again. And then Aggro Warrior is now kind of getting targeted a little bit. So yeah, I've been staying away from Warrior on ladder pretty heavily.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the week that is, as we leave behind the week that was. Let's talk about some matches that are coming up here in week 2. We'll start with Legacy and put those up on the screen there. We got a couple matches in red and more matches in gold to talk about. So we'll start with the gold ones. The featured match is kind of Wet Boys versus Roundtable, if you can't tell by the graphic. Avi versus Lotus Knight, Daravis versus Itachi. It's supposed to be Matty Ebbs. My fingers got away from me. It's Matty Ebbs, not Matty Ebbs. Versus Super Murloc. So these are all 3 currently 1-0 players. They will not be all 1-0 after week 1 ends. So, yeah, let's talk about that match. I think that match is probably the most hype of the week. Icon. Or Lotus, it's your team. Let's let you go first.
Yeah.
So I think I really like my team. I think these are both the 2 teams in Legacy right now that are on top, at least in gold. So this is probably going to be a great match. We had great weeks last week. I think me versus Avi is going to be a fun match. We both play pretty intensely, so it should be just a strong match overall. Same for Derivas versus Itachi. Derivas is still undefeated, but Itachi is also an amazing player. So this should be a great match for a 2 seed. Super Murloc versus Matty Abs, both are a great 4 seeds, so it should be another really good match. I think all around Round Table versus Wet Boys is going to be an amazing matchup.
And we actually do have a little bit of breaking news on it. Roundtable is up 4-1 as Copper Talon beat Quirky Turtle in the 5 seeds. So I don't know if you happen to know that or if I'm breaking the news to you right now.
He actually hasn't posted on our Discord yet.
I literally just refreshed the page,
know.
so maybe it just happened. I don't know, but so good start to the week for you guys.
Communication, poggers.
You gotta have a breaking news button that you can play at news,
like the little like a planet icon or the globe thing flashes across the screen and it cuts to you standing behind a desk or something, and you're
exactly.
This just in.
Just in.
There was one week where we tried to do a scrolling bar at the bottom of the screen.
Twitch is saying that it was misreported and that it's not. It was in Hero. We got it wrong.
Oh man!
So I didn't misread it. It was just
breaking news. It was
breaking news.
Breaking news. My heart.
Breaking news.
Well,
we're Fox News.
Yeah, no, it's at 10.
Okay, well, tell them to go ahead and submit a email to help. We'll fix that.
And just do the thing and whatever.
Okay, so it's 0-0. Sorry, Lotus.
No problem. That makes sense.
Congrats to Copper winning his hero match, I guess. Shout out to Copper.
Here, let me go check the help email right now. I'm sorry, I'm going back.
Please no.
I'm not.
Anyway, moving on. So we have Shim Jim playing Fuel. Fuel is 0-1, but this is still a big match for Prep versus DeStubbs. And this is, as we said, also in gold here. Both 1 seeds, both 550 PR players. I don't see Fuel. I just can't picture him going 0-2.
This is the hardest 1 seed division I've seen in quite a while. I just want to know that on my matches, I'm only playing 2 players who are not 550 PR, and one of them is Snake. So this is going to be a really insane season. You're going to see gold 1 seeds every single week in this segment. So be aware that that's going to happen.
And then the final match there is 2-star Mako versus Wicked Good. I'm just going to take every opportunity that I can to say Abejas on stream. So Abejas. It's this is another good match. Mako is going to try to continue his 3-0 undefeated across all series streak. And Wicked Good, who was pretty highly touted, started off 0-1 here in the 3 seeds, so he'll look to rebound for the pod people. Who these are 2 teams that they had okay weeks first week, but they're going to look to try to move up the standings here. This is a slightly shorter season than normal with only 8 weeks, so you really want to make good on these first few weeks and not put yourself in a position where you got to kind of scramble.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's also interesting in gold. The 4 teams that won last week are playing each other. Which is really interesting. And in gold, it's the complete opposite. 3 teams that had wins are playing teams that did not do quite as well. So already kind of getting someone's going to start coming out on top a little bit more clearly, I think, in gold than in red first. Also, one thing to highlight that we will talk about tomorrow on Tavern Talk is
crossover.
So far in the crossover, actually, the cross match stuff, gold is ahead 1-0, I think, right now in the cross match games, right? Because I think who was the gold
lost.
team?
Roundtable beat SPG. Yep.
There you go. Yeah. So unfortunate, but this week we'll see. Maybe we can take it.
Well, I'm glad you guys are keeping track of that because I do think that's a nice little thing for conference pride, and it'll make the last week really interesting too, since there'll be 7 matches to see which conference is the superior conference by wins. So, speaking of the other conference, the Red Conference, we have 2 matches from the Dad Legend versus Hearthstone and Chill game. Honest Zaib for Dad Legend versus Shadow Ranger, who started the season 0-1 a little bit surprisingly, and then Yellow Dart versus Catman. Are both 1-0. And then Coles of SPG, as we know, started off a little bit sluggishly against Lotus Knight versus Inspire of the Misfits. Inspire, I'll admit, is a player I don't really know much about. What do you guys like about these matches here that are coming up in week 2?
Well, 2 of them are my team, so I like that. I think we've got definitely a good shot. I think Zabe is an amazing player. So is Shadow Ranger, but we'll see how that comes out. And then same with Yellow Dart. I think that whole team kind of lines up pretty well with us. They also have like the 4 top heavy players. So it's also another fun fact about this is Shad's in Hero played Jim last week, and now in Legacy he's got to do the same. So a rematch there for Shads and Jim in the 5.
Yeah, that reminds me of the me versus 2s last season in both Hero and Legacy in the same week.
That's crazy.
And then we played both games on stream back to back because it was a unique kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's SVG trying to right the ship. Had to play the cross conference, so this is our first experience intra Red Conference, rather than getting our butts whooped by the allegedly superior Gold Conference.
Yeah,
that's a really, really rough team to roll, honestly.
Yeah,
like, if you're rolling a cross-conference team, holy mother, dude. Like,
yeah, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, you got like a 50-50 to hit a team that you don't want, and you low rolled a little bit there.
Yeah, we did only come away with 9 points, which is unfortunate. I will say I did not win my match. I only got 2 points myself. So actually, I think only one of us won a match. It was
subtle flex that you took it to 5 games.
Yeah, well, 2 points is the most you can get with the loss. So
there was a specific Tavern Talk host who predicted that I would get swept. Okay, and then immediately asked if he was fired from Tavern Talk.
Oh yeah.
So in case you guys are wondering if I watch your show, I watch a show. All right.
I mean, it wasn't me. That much I can say.
It was not. It was his name rhymes with Fusharmo.
That's right. Yeah, Fusharmo. Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I mean he's just got it out for you, man.
That's okay.
That's all I can say.
That's okay. I'll pretend to be nice to him. I'm kidding. I love Desharma. So let's talk about some Hero. We've got big matches coming up in Teal, and one big highlighted match. It happens to be my team. I swear to God, Lotus, you're doing these matches and not me. So this keeps me absolved of any blame when my matches come up repeatedly.
I am.
It's
totally non-partial. I'm not like you're going to promote me or anything. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll fire Desharma and promote you to Tavern Talk, so you just be on both shows at the same time.
Is that a promotion?
Yeah, I mean, given how much I would have to work.
Yeah, it's like getting promoted to like the DMV in like the U.S. government.
Ouch. Hey man,
I love you. I love you guys. I'm just I love you guys.
Mail, okay.
Yeah, I love you guys. I'm sorry.
So yeah, Deshar was in chat. Like, oh, he's here. That's cool. So we've got it's the Notorious B.I.G.'s versus Asa Dude. And I feel like I have to say their team name like really chilled out every time I say it.
Asa dude. Yeah, there you go.
So we got Shim Jim in the 1 versus Snake, both 1-0, and then Crackshot versus Shiny Pants in the 4 seed rather. Sorry. They're both 1-0 as well. So these are the 2 teams that were on top of the Purple Conference through the first week. We ended up coming away with a full 23, and Asa Dude with 19 over ATL. So I will say, and their one loss, they swept everything that they played. Their one loss was a DQ. So they could have very easily put up more points than they did.
It does look like we're ahead of the game here, though. Medusa's has classes submitted, so no risk of that this
That's
week.
good because he's my opponent, and he was, very responsive when we emailed. So I think that was just kind of a fluke. I'm not too worried about that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So good. I will make sure to submit my classes after this. So it's it should be an exciting week. We've been prepping real hard in the big server, and Crackshot and Shiny Pants already have classes revealed. Actually, their whole team has classes submitted. So like we're ready to roll. They want to go. But let's talk teal here. We've got 2-star Mako versus Pond of the regular bees. They're not as cool as Abejas, unfortunately. Chewbacca versus 8-Bit. That's the Cult versus Tap Last. Yellow Dart of Dad Legend versus Shadow Ranger and Ask HS. And Rusty Boys versus Kel in also Ask HS. So Ask HS Dad Legend is kind of the match of the week over in teal, I would say. Nobody hyped for that match.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely hyped.
Yeah.
My Dad Legend boys, they're they didn't get me, unfortunately, this season. I was in talks with Yellow Dart, and like I said, I didn't want to play hero, and then he found some hockey boys, luckily, to take that spot. And then I was baited into doing it anyway. But really, I think they're a great team, and I'm really looking forward to what they do. And then Ask HS is also a really good team, and I think that's going to be a great match. I mean, Shadow Ranger in the 3, Yellow Dart in the 3, like there's some depth there. So definitely a good match.
Yeah, this is two teams that didn't really get out of the gate as much as fast as they would like. So this is a big one, I think, to make sure that you stay paced in this conference here. And the opposite match, obviously, we were talking about the Bees versus KGB. That's similar to what we saw in Legacy, where it's going to be the top two teams of that conference playing each other. Actually, also the same thing within in Purple too. So yeah, Bees versus Kel's Good Boys. That does not include Kel.
No, they're just as good boys.
Yeah, that's
No.
and Lotus Knight is one of those good boys. So Lotus, what do you think? What's going to happen in that match?
I think we're going to have a great match. I just want to note Mako in the 4 is so insane. So is Bond in the 4. So this just doesn't make any sense for a 4th seed match. Again, I think this is going to be a good week. KGB is prepping. Even though we lost our 5 seed match on TH versus Copper Talon, I still think we have a huge shot this week, and it's going to be a fun one for us.
Yeah, this you mentioned the 4 seeds. The 4 seeds are pretty strong in teal overall. Just kind of going down the list, like Pawn, 2-star Mako, 8-Bit. Like these are all players that are solid. Chewbacca, basically everyone but Kel. Just kidding, Kel. I'm actually I'm in the 2 seed Legacy and I'm playing Kel this week, so he's clearly got the chops to go anywhere in that range. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough sledding out there. Like for the 4 seeds, it could be. I don't know if anyone will necessarily just run the table. Probably looking at maybe 1 or 2 losses at most, or at least for the best 4 seed in that conference.
Yeah, the 4 seed definitely looks pretty stacked in teal here. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. There's some really good 4 seeds. So
let's go ahead and move to pro as we wrap up this portion of the show. The big match we want to talk about is Bad of the Bone versus Dr. Boom Shakalaka. We got the 2 matches that will feature the 2 top players on each team right now. That's Daravis and Obviously versus Lawful Dog and Myanodon. So Myanodon, you drew, I guess, by purely statistics, you drew the lucky straw in playing Obviously instead of the Daravis Whirlwind of Death that just beats everybody he plays. So rip Lawful Dog, I guess.
I think we're gonna take both of them, but we'll see.
Damn. Yeah. All right.
I have a crazy week actually this week, and I'm pretty busy this weekend, so I have to I have to do a lot of prep in the next couple days. Like I have Avi in pro, I have Itachi in hero, and then I have Pond in legacy, and it's just like, okay, well, it's just back to just playing really good players. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope I can do it, man.
I hope so. And if I may, I'm going to try to report some of the games that are showing up in Pro right now, and will, I guess, be told by chat if I'm being incorrect in my reporting here. But the other guy's off to a quick 3-1 start versus the unknown, Tony Montana, with one over Shadow Ranger. So he moves to 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Tap Last C-Mac with a 2-1 win over 2-star Mako. So Mako's dreams crushed already. No undefeated across all conference or all series for you, my friend. So Tap Last with the quick lead there. And then for the boys, Skittles 2-0 over Liquid Ox.
Skittles is just taking out some really good players.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of context behind that. Liquid Ox played Quest Paladin for 2 matches versus a Murloc Shaman, and the entirety of the series lasted 7 minutes.
I mean, when you shield,
He
the
was like, "I'm
Paladin,
going
you
in,"
want to play
and then he
the
goes,
Paladin.
"I'm done." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that will happen in best of 3, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, still,
Yup.
like, good job, Skittles.
Skittles is what, like 4-0 or like 3-0, like just in terms of like record across like
Looking
multiple
real
series.
good.
Like, dude, that dude's doing well though, straight up. Like,
and beating really good players too, like
Yeah.
Itachi last week, right, and Liquid Ox this week.
You know, turns out sometimes when you try to make the mummies as Quest Paladin, it turns out you are the mummy that you make. That's deep, right? I just came up with that.
That's
I thought it
really
was
deep. That's amazing.
well, yeah, that's wow.
You were the mummy the whole time.
That's wow.
The mummy was the friends that
It's
we
like
made along
The
the way.
Walking Dead is not the zombies; it's the people. They're the.
Oh
Walking
yeah,
Dead.
true.
No.
Dude, that like blew my mind when I was like 14 years old and like reading the comic or whatever. I was
show
like,
is
oh my
still
god, it's
awful.
the people.
We are the
Yeah, it's
Walking Dead.
really bad.
Least
Yeah.
awful, least hot take in history. Like the most ice cold take.
Yeah.
Walking Dead sucks.
Oh, it's so bad. It's like a soap opera, but like they kind
It's
of
real
included
bad.
zombies as a plot
It was-
device. Like the books are so good too. Like the graphic novels are like actually really sick, and like the
The
writing
thing is,
like,
it
really
started off
interesting.
okay. It started
It
off
really
okay,
did.
and then it became like just
Yeah.
a soap opera. Like you
Once
said,
I realized every season, like I'll admit I didn't read any of the comics or anything. Once I realized every season was identical, I was like, cool. And then the second that the whole plot line of I apologize if I'm spoiling a show that's like a decade old for anybody. The plot line of the guy who was supposed to be taken to DC because he knew, the army guy was kind of guarding him, and then they found out that whole thing was a farce, and I was like, they're not working towards anything. I don't care.
Well, that was a
That's
thing too in like the comics. It just didn't suck because like you can actually like write in like depth and stuff when you don't have like a very 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 specific time slot to fill, and like you don't risk getting the show canceled if you kill somebody off, because like that's the whole thing with why TV shows end up like being a lot worse than like the mediums that they're based on, because Nielsen ratings and stuff, like how people respond to like the episodes of the show are like highly dependent on who people kill off and who they don't kill off and stuff. And like in a book it's like you don't have to care, like you literally don't have to care if you're an author, you can just kill off whoever you want, you don't have to give a fuck. But like
I do think it's getting better in TV though. I think people are taking more risks in that regard. But anyway, these are the hot takes that you came for.
Yeah, this is exactly why people tune in Hearth. People are coming in late. They're like, I just finished my hero match, and I want to. Yeah, and they're like, why are they talking about this show? I don't get it. And Lotus is just inconspicuously sitting there, not talking about it. Like he's like, can we just go back to things I care about?
Well, I have never watched that show, but yeah, so that might not be the optimal one for me to talk about. But I can go through different topics. I will also use that time to eat.
There you go. I'm glad we could give you a little break there. But we're going to talk about our one last topic of the night. This was spawned off of the incident that you might have heard of from Grandmasters this past weekend, where Seiko, I believe, is it pronounced Seiko or Psycho? I'm not sure.
Psycho.
Psycho, yeah.
Yep, Psycho.
Kind of a sick name, not gonna lie. He's got a really cool name.
It is.
Is it spelled like the watches?
Yes. Which is pronounced Seiko, if I'm not mistaken, which was what threw me off.
Maybe the E and the I are different. Who knows? Anyway.
Either way, so he was a little distracted during his match with Boston, and it wasn't immediately apparent why he was distracted. My AP just went psycho. So it turns out he was playing a qualifier for auto chess while he was playing his Grandmaster match, and it didn't go well, for obvious reasons. If anybody did not happen to see the clip, I'm going to play the clip for you right now. So let's partake of that right now, real quickly. Transition screen.
Did he not banker? He didn't banker it. What?
No, that is
Sorry, my brain
that is not okay.
My brain just refused to accept the idea that he didn't banker the Shivala there for a second.
That's just game.
Yeah.
Boston wins the game.
Yes. Yes, he does.
You kill Shivala, the game ends.
Correct. And he's just realized it. That's not good enough. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No,
like
that's ridiculous. Like, okay,
that's unacceptable.
I have said a lot of things that are harsh on players.
Yeah.
Because I simply expect high levels of play from them. When they're making simple mistakes is when it's been.
Did he?
So that is, he's playing Holy Wrath Paladin. For anybody who's played it, obviously, you need to make sure you use your Shivala as part of the combo, and that needs to make sure it stays in your deck, or it gets put in your deck and immediately drawn by Holy Wrath. And if it dies and you don't have it, you basically just lose your win condition. So he was clearly distracted. If you looked in the clip, obviously you saw him looking down at what ended up being his phone the entire time and not paying attention to his his Hearthstone match, which, by the way, is a thing he gets paid to do. Actual real life dollars, gets paid to do this, and just wasn't paying attention to it. So I have a lot of strong opinions on this. Lotus, I'll start with you. Like, what do you kind of, what are your thoughts as far as just what happened?
So I think from what I heard and what everyone is clear, he was playing auto chess at the time because he had a tournament that was worth a lot of money. And he did have a chance to win that tournament, which would be much more than he would gain for the Hearthstone match. That being said, I think there are two sides. From what he has said, he did talk to Blizzard, and Blizzard said it was. I feel like our main competitive players, who would be the GMs, quote unquote, they should still have some standard. So during a match, something should be done so that you're not doing something else, or at least you put a good amount of focus to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, like, my problem is even, he did try to clear it with Blizzard first, which for me actually adds more questions to the mix because, like, imagine you go into your job and you tell them, hey, listen, I want to play Hearthstone, but I have to work right now. Can I do that instead? And your boss says, no, you can't do that. I'm paying you for this. And then you just say, well, I'm going to do it anyway because I think I can. And they're like, well, fine, whatever. And then I'd get fired. Like, you'd get fired for that, right? Because you're literally ignoring the thing you're paid to do something else.
Right.
And it's just a bad look.
Yes, it's a really bad look. If you do that in a company, you would be fired really fast.
Yeah, and like Casey said here, like, Psycho made more off of this match than THL's ever offered in prize pools over its entire history. Like just for showing up. Like, not even, obviously he wants to win, and obviously you want to keep your spot in Grandmasters because it is a guaranteed salary. Like, you should be putting in the effort there, and like I can understand wanting to do other things, but like it's kind of, for me, it's like where personal responsibility comes down. Like, you, okay, it's $500 per match, 1,000 if you win. So like, that's still, yeah, that's a lot of money for most like streamers, I would imagine, like, unless you're a very, very top flight streamer. Yeah, 1K to 2K a week to play Hearthstone is really pretty decent. So, like, Lotus, I'm sorry, not Lotus, I already talked to you. Not that I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're a very nice guy. Myanodon, what do you think about this as a whole? And like, when you approach a THL match, obviously we're not getting paid anything for this. Like, what's your thought process in terms of, your focus?
I mean, it definitely upsets me. Like, I understand that all the things involved, like, he asked ahead of time, like, sort of like what Avi was saying, the estimated value of playing the tournament was higher than playing the match, but it's still, it's sketchy to me. Like, I understand that, you have to do what's best for you, but like, I don't know, there's people grinding and trying so hard to get good at this game, and compete at the highest level, and then someone that's there is not taking it seriously. That's what upsets me. Like, I understand maybe it's not the money. Like, I understand you can get maybe make more money doing something else, but when you are asked to be at the highest level and people are looking up to you and trying to reach that level as well, and in general, like, the Grandmasters has upset me a little bit at the level of play because it should be the very best. And I'm watching it sometimes and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is like the extreme. Obviously, there's small things happen every day. You don't know what their mental their psyche is that day or whatever, or their prep. But this is too far for me. Like, I understand all the little things, like, he talked to them, they said it was okay. But to me, it's just it's a shame. It's not the way I would do it. And it's upsetting. I don't know. That's the only thing I could say about it. It's just upsetting to me.
Yeah, I think the big point you hit on there is that there are a lot of players who would really love to be in the position that he's in. Not only playing in GM, but sponsored. He's on a team. You can see Team Genji right there in the clip. Like, what do you think his team thinks about that? Like, that's a bad look for the team. That's a bad look for Blizzard. Just as a whole, like, there's a lot of like negatives there that really outweigh any of the benefit for him. And I know one thing that was mentioned too is whether or not he qualified further in that auto chess tournament. He did. He qualified to the next round, which he would have to play next weekend, and he already said he won't do it because he doesn't want the same thing to happen again on stream, which I think at least shows a little bit of growth there, but it's still unfortunate. Icon, you haven't weighed in yet. What are your thoughts overall on this, and what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to THL?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty different opinion on this, and I'll try to explain it. At least both within the context of Psycho and the GM incident, and in the context of THL. So I place little to no blame on Psycho at all. I don't think that it was his fault in the slightest, and I really don't hold him accountable for anything that happened. And I say that because I think that it is, at the end of the day, if you are Blizzard, it's your responsibility to create a esports scene for your game of professionalism and professional standards, and they had an opportunity to do that when Psycho asked them, can I play auto chess while I play Hearthstone? And if you are any reasonable professional organization with an idea of how in the hell you're supposed to be handling an esports league, your response there should be no, unequivocally no, because the optics of that are just terrible. Like you said, your player is literally doing something that is not your game at the highest possible level. Like, I don't understand from a PR perspective why you wouldn't just immediately say no, but they chose to say, if anyone can do it, it's you, which I think was the direct quote.
Yes.
And I find that absolutely laughable from like an organizational perspective, because if we're looking at Blizzard esports as a whole, I just think that so much of what they do compared to other esports is propped up on this like sort of like self-inflated from the inside, like sort of artificially propped up esports scene, like whether that be Overwatch League or whether that be something like this uber promoted Grandmasters thing. And if you're doing that, that's fine, but you have to be prepared to like conduct yourself like as an organization with like the expectations that come with that, and just completely letting a player do that, I think is not in line with that at all. To touch on the Genji thing a little bit, he's probably from what I know about an organization like Team Genji, as somebody who's like seen a little bit of the finances behind like what some esports teams pay their players, he's getting paid almost nothing, and they don't care a lot, because if they're any sort of reputable org, Hearthstone is a fraction of a percent of what their involvement is within the esports scene, just like literally every other org that fields a Hearthstone team. So I just think that Blizzard could do so much better of a job at making their esport into a legitimate competitor space instead of the sort of farcical, artificially propagated thing that we have now. In THL, obviously we're all here for fun. It's a small community, behave with respect, because word gets around, and you'd always want to be a respectful person. I really have more of an experience with the whole like the business side of it, so that's really all I got.
Yeah, you definitely have much more insight, and I know Casey's in chat here, and he's got some insight as well into the actual team and the organizations a little bit more than I certainly do. So I will take your word for it on those things. But yeah, to me, it's just like you said, Hearthstone's kind of been propped up as an esport by the community for the most part. Like, I don't think Blizzard ever really wanted to make it an esport. It just kind of became one as people, become competitive, and that's what we do. When we find something we like, people make a community, become competitive, and then Blizzard was like, "Oh, wait, we can make money off this? Sure, let's let it happen." And then, um, it's not a good look when your top players can conceivably play your game at the same time as another game. It really lends to the what I don't feel is true. It lends to the credence to the thought that, like, oh, Hearthstone's just RNG fest. There's no skill, and I mean, I don't think that's true. Obviously, we see the same players winning over and over again, not only in THL, but in tournaments. Like, there's a reason why Dog is always near the top. There's a reason why Bunny Hopper is always near the top. Like, these guys are good, and we shouldn't take anything away from them. But it just kind of makes the argument a lot harder when this is such a public thing. And as Avi pointed out, this is actually one of the largest bits of publicity the GM's gotten in the 2 seasons. So I guess all press is good press in some ways. I don't know. But yeah, as far as THL is concerned, we are here for fun, so no one's going to fire you if you don't pay attention completely to your match. But I know for me, like, I'm headphones on. I try to focus as much as I can just because I'm too competitive to do anything else. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I do agree with a lot of points that Icon made, though. I know it's not his fault per se, but I still, if I was put in that position, I think I would know not to do it. Like, he asked and they said it was okay, and that's on them. But to me, I'd be like, well, when I'm in this match I'm being paid for, I would take it 100% seriously, and that's I guess where I differ in opinion there. But as far as THL, like, I don't blame anybody for maybe being distracted. Everyone's got a life. We're not being paid to do this like he is. Even if we're saying it's not significant enough, let's say, whatever numbers you kind of can throw out there. I personally, like, I am very competitive as well, and so for me, I headphones on, door closed. Like, if my girlfriend's over, she's downstairs, like, she'll tell you. Till the match is over, and then it's all good. But I totally understand people that have things going on, and that's fine with me too.
Yeah, the THL is for all skill levels. It's for all, not only competitive levels, but like all. I'm trying to think of the word, like, not effort, but like what you feel like you could personally contribute time wise to each week. Some people want to prep constantly. Some people don't want to prep constantly, and they just want to play their matches. And some teams are a little bit less demanding, and I think that's nice because everybody has a little niche they can fit into and play in any series. So that's yeah, I think that's nice, and that we don't take it that seriously, but we want to make sure that we do get the games played, and be respectful of your opponent's time, I guess, and you're respectful of your opponent's desires to play too. So, like, some may be all about, like, flexible schedule, and some, like, listen, I can only play this time, please be here, like, respect my time, respect your opponent. That's what it's all about, I think. And some of that, like, to me, does, like, that's another thing. Like, I feel like it's almost like Psycho doesn't respect his opponent when he's not really paying attention. Like, if I was Boston, I don't know how I'd feel about that. Like, would I feel good about getting a win against a guy who's obviously distracted? I don't know.
I will add one thing, and I think when I'm playing, I try my best to make friends with whoever I'm playing with, because I don't know if I'll be playing in their team next season. That's just another point. Not only to be respectful to them, I might be playing in their team, and a lot of the people I played with, I practice with later, or I just talk about random decks, and it is a lot of fun. I ended my match with Coles, and we were sharing decks with each other and chatting about how the match went and about other things. So that's always a plus to me.
Juice with a good point. Yeah, he'd feel good about getting $500. Yeah, Boston's probably like, well, he didn't respect me, but I got $500 extra, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm glad everyone has a generally positive experience in THL with opponents, and it's rare to see someone get flamed after a match or feel disrespected. So I'd like us to continue that, and I think we've done a great job of that in the past few seasons. The culture is really starting to shift positively, so hopefully we continue that. I hope you guys like these more deeper discussions on kind of pertinent topics in the Hearthstone universe and how they relate to THL, because I'd like to do more of these if we can. And chat was popping during the segment, so I like that you guys were super engaged. So hopefully we'll do more of these types of discussions, which is cool. So I think that's everything. We've touched on it all tonight. We've gone a little over time, so I appreciate that you guys stuck with us, both the viewers and our guests, Manadon and Lotus and Icon. I really appreciate you guys being here every week. Lotus, Icon, I will see you guys around next week. Manadon, congratulations again on the World Cup, of course.
Thanks, man.
And good luck with Tavern Talk tomorrow night. Please, everyone, do tune into that for Manadon. I think, who do you guys have for a guest tomorrow?
We still don't have a guest, so if anyone's interested, I have some ideas, but we are looking.
Plug.
They do that day of. That's the thing. That's just that's how it rolls, man.
It varies. It's not always day of. But yeah, this week we do have Desharmo obviously reprising. Turd Herder is going to be on. I did talk about last week how we're rotating a couple of the hosts every week, so should be a good time.
Cool. Well, looking forward to it as usual. I'll be getting home right around the time you guys start, maybe a little bit after. So I'll be making sure to see what Desharmo says about me. I'm just kidding, but I do love you, Desharmo. I'm just joking about the predictions. Everyone makes predictions, and that's you can be wrong. It's all right.
Yeah, you can.
So that's it for us tonight.
It's fine to be wrong.
Desharmo, I can't wait to play you in a series at some point, a duel on stream. If we ever need to fill a slot on stream that just can't be filled, I will serve as tribute and go ahead and play you. That is a promise.
I would cast that if you guys need someone.
I'm glad everyone's all about this potential show match. That's great. So that's it for us tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week, of course. And make sure to tune in to Tavern Talk tomorrow night. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are still looking for some stream matches for Saturday and Sunday. So if you'd like to play, please use the sign up in the Discord. It's pinned. And Friday, we've got a couple matches already lined up. So tune in for that. And we will see you next week. Good luck with your matches. Have a great night.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good night.
Yeah, I'm still stream hopping poorly. Right to the end.